We've been tasting blind and rating whiskeys blind for over 3 years now, and today we're talking about the 15 worst scoring whiskeys we have ever tasted.
Welcome to Stuff and Whiskey. I'm Erin.
I'm Josh. Thanks for joining us today.
Yep.
If you're new, Erin is more of a social sipper. I'm more of the whiskey nerd, and that's the lens through which we view whiskey and bring this content to the channel.
Absolutely. And because of that, today's video, Josh will be doing a lot of talking because I'm the social sipper. I make him, as kind as he is, remember all the things I like. So a lot of these whiskeys that we're talking about today, I was there. I drank it. I don't remember it. So
it wasn't memorable, which would indicate why they were the 15 worst scoring whiskeys we've ever tasted.
So if it seems like he's talking a lot in the video and I'm not saying much, it's because he has the knowledge. I will for sure say things I want to say, so don't feel bad for me. I speak when I want to speak.
Yeah, don't cry for her, Argentina. Down in the video description is going to be links to every one of these videos where we gave these 2 thumbs down, which for us, our rating system, if you're familiar with the channel, is we go 2 thumbs up, just okay, or thumbs down.
Do we want to specify what those are?
Well, obviously thumbs down is a hard pass.
Right.
And the way we do this is we taste things blind, and then we find out the price and see how that affects our rating. We'll rate the whiskey blind, and then we find out the price, and if that changes how we feel, we change our rating before we find out what we're drinking.
Because something important to us on this channel is value buys.
Yes.
So if we really like a whiskey, but it's very expensive, are we willing to put our money where our mouth is? Or if we really like a whiskey and it's really inexpensive, do we want to get it still? And is it worth telling you to buy it? So that's something that's very important to us and has been from the get-go. So that's why we have the rating system that we have. And that's why we rate things kind of twice.
So to qualify the bottles on this list, the way you get on this list right here for our 15 worst scoring whiskeys doesn't mean they're bad, just means the value's not there for us. We will speak to some of these pours. Some of these are pours that Erin just flat out doesn't like. Yeah. Some of these are pours I flat out don't like. But the absolute...
I see one on the list that I know I don't like.
The absolute across the board true statement to all these bottles is that the value of how much they cost versus what we're tasting in a glass blind just doesn't add up at all and made us a hard pass.
And it's not worth us putting our money into those.
So we're going to speak to that as we go. By the way, we don't own any of these bottles, so I'll pop them up somewhere on the screen as we go because a lot of the things we have are samples sent in from you guys and our Patreon members and things like that. So we don't actually own any of these bottles. We don't have them to display, but that information will be on the screen. And let's get right into it. And this is in no particular order. Okay. Actually, it is in alphabetical order because I pulled from our database.
So it is in a particular order.
But it's not like any of them are better or worse than the other worst pours on this list.
Right.
But right off the bat, we're going to start with Barrel Dovetail Gray Label. And checking notes here, 131.5 proof.
Yep.
That's in our wheelhouse. But $250 for that is wildly expensive for what we tasted during the video.
Yeah, I do remember a little bit of that and being underwhelmed based off of other Barrel products that I've had.
Yeah.
Finding out that it was Barrel and being like, it's not what I thought.
Right. I mean, you expect the Gray Label being so much more expensive than the standard Dovetail. You expect to like it more. You expect it to live up to the price tag. And for us, we would honestly just rather drink regular Barrel Dovetail. The Gray Label did not do it for us.
Correct.
Actually, none of the Gray Label things we've tried from Barrel have really impressed us. However, we've never tried any of the Gold Label stuff because it's astronomically expensive. Most of that stuff is $500 or more.
Oh my gosh.
So for us, it wasn't it, but we love barrel batches, the bourbon batches, and we really do like Dovetail, and we love Seagrass. And what's the other one? Vantage is solid too. So it's not like we don't like barrel stuff. It's just the Gray Label price tag as you go up is just completely out of whack for what you're tasting in the glass for us.
Yeah.
For us. You can check the video down there in the description for how we felt about it in more detail, tasting notes and all that. Next up on the list is going to ruffle some feathers for sure.
Oh.
And it is Blanton's Straight from the Barrel. Now, on paper, this is a product I should love.
Yeah.
We've had 3 different single barrels of Blanton Straight from the Barrel on the channel. And It is a single barrel product, so each barrel does differ a little bit. I've tried maybe half a dozen of these things, and they are very 50-50 for me on whether I actually do like them or not. I'm personally a huge fan of barrel-proof Buffalo Trace products. Not a big fan of their lower proof options, but I love their barrel-proof options. But there is not a more divisive pour in their portfolio for me than straight from the barrel. So we had a 127.2 proof and a 130.0 proof. Both of those got 2 thumbs down from both of us. So, or thumbs down from both of us. 2 thumbs down overall.
Yeah.
And it really was based on the heat, maybe the flavor profile, or all that related to the value. But then also we've had 125.8 proof straight from the barrel on the channel that I think it got a just okay for you, but it did get a thumbs up for me.
Interesting.
Even at $150.
So it is pretty hit or miss on that one.
Yeah, very much so. And then
depending on the barrel.
Yeah, and we've got, Matt Metzger has a straight from the barrel that I've tried over at his house, and it's absolutely phenomenal. It's probably the best one I've ever tasted. So they're kind of all over the place. Single barrel roulette, do you want to spend that money and take that chance, or would you rather go with something like a batch product like Stag Junior? For me, I will always lean towards Stag Junior or even E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof over Blandon straight from the barrel. To me, they're better crafted products, and as much as I love single barrels, Blandon's has missed the mark for me as much as it's hit in their straight from the barrel. So moving on and sticking in the Buffalo Trace family.
List. We have a lot of these.
Yep.
How many do we have? 15?
15-ish.
Right.
There's a couple. Yeah.
Okay.
Daniel Weller, Emmer wheat. It's $500. That's all we got to say.
Holy jolly.
And then 94 proof.
What the heck?
It's fine.
Also, typically, wheat heavy bourbons, wheaters, as they're called in the biz, are not necessarily my favorite. There are some that I like, but overall, as a general statement, I'm really skeptical about wheaters.
Yeah. And if I recall correctly, this video, we did like Daniel Weller fine.
Okay.
Like, it was fine.
But when we found out the price, that's a lot of money for just something that's fine.
I probably thought it was a $30 to $50 bottle blind. Like, it tastes like Buffalo Trace, but a little different. And should be about $30 to $50, but it's in a pretty bottle and it's very limited, and it's $500.
There you go.
Easy thumbs down from the both of us. Moving on.
Yes.
Harden's Creek James B. Beam 2-year blend with higher age stuff as well. I think it's like a 2-year and 15-year blend.
Oh, interesting.
But it's got a lot of 2-year whiskey in it. It's 108 proof. It's $80. I remember tasting this thing and it just tasting young. Yeah. Like, the youth shows through so heavily in this. So you get the corniness, you get the nuttiness from the Jim Beam profile. And I get what they're doing. They were trying to do this cool kind of experiment to blend young and old whiskey to kind of highlight some of the things. And they definitely highlighted the youth. And to us, it just was not our thing. Yeah. And I don't even know if you remember that one or not.
I do not, so I'm just agreeing with whatever you say.
It's a largely forgettable pour. to me, it just tasted like almost like Jim Beam White Label, amped up to 108 proof. Not my sort of thing. So,
fair.
Moving on to Joseph Magnus Murray Hill Club, 103 proof.
Don't remember this one either.
It's a light whiskey blended with a bourbon.
Okay.
This was a long time ago, and the price tag on it's like $140, and that's really what threw us. We didn't love it, but we didn't hate it either.
Okay.
But when you have something that you're just kind of lukewarm on,
that's a decent amount of money to spend on something you just kind of are lukewarm about.
If I'm spending $140 on a bottle of whiskey, I want to be absolutely in love with it.
Yeah.
And we were not absolutely in love with it. So it was an easy pass for us. Yeah, the light whiskey in there, and not like we don't like light whiskey. We've tried light whiskey before, and we've tried plenty that we do like. It's just that particular blend wasn't for our palates at that price point blind. Yeah. So moving on to the next one, Michter's 10-year, specifically from 2021. And I remember this was in a head-to-head against Michter's from 2023.
Was this one we did recently? We filmed recently?
Within the last year, yeah.
I feel like I might remember this because I remember feeling sad and disappointed that I didn't like it. Because I wanted to like it. No, when I found out what it was, I feel like I wanted to have liked it.
And these are 94.4 proof, and they're pushing $200, $170, $180. So that works against it, even in a blind.
Yeah.
I still was in love with the 2023, and I love the 2024 release, but we owned a bottle of 2020 that we thought was a waste of money. And the 2021 was better than 2020 for us, but still didn't live up blind, especially when we had a better bottle on the table in the 2023. So just goes to show you, and those are single barrels. They can differ as well, but by all metrics, they really didn't start hitting their stride and getting really, really good until the last 2 years.
I feel like so far, the bottles we've talked about is really highlighting the single barrel rouletteness that you talk about. The hit or miss-ness of getting single barrels. And these are some of the ones that we got and were misses. But we've also had some of the ones, to your point about the Michter's 2023, that were hits. Mm-hmm. So we just lost the game of single barrel roulette in those instances.
And it's not just that. I mean, over half the list that we've already said is a batch product, and it's just the value's not there based on the taste. And a lot of these bottles are allocated bottles. They're hard to get, or they were one-time special releases that these companies put out. And when companies make whiskey, they have to sell it, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. They can't just not sell whiskey because it's not great. Yeah. They have to recoup their money on it. So sometimes things do get out on the market that maybe aren't very good, or at least maybe not very good to your palate, or at least our palate. Mm-hmm. So you have to always be cautious of that as a buyer. And that's why we're doing this video, not to trash these brands or companies or products, but just to highlight the fact that if you're buying any of these, this is probably the most important point in the video, I'll say it right now. If you're buying any of these, know that you may or may not like them. With any bottle of whiskey, you may or may not like it. You won't know until you try it. But for us, we're just highlighting the value inequity between the taste blind versus the price tag. Yeah. So for us and our sensibilities, these are thumbs down pours. Yep. You may feel completely differently. Like, I know a great friend of mine loves that James B. Beam 2-year, 15-year blend or whatever it is. Like, he loves it because he feels like it highlights what Jim Beam does and showcases their flavor profile. I don't necessarily love that flavor profile, and I don't like it showcased heavily. Right. Fair. I prefer like a good Knob Creek pick or something. So anyways, moving on. We got a twofer on this one. We have the oldest and the youngest Old Fitzgerald bottled and bond decanters ever. The 8-year and the 19-year. Okay. So this is a price tag issue. The 8-year is like $110. The 19-year is $240, I think. Okay. We were not impressed by these blind. Mm-hmm. I'm not surprised for you because you don't typically like wheated bourbon. Correct. And I'm not surprised for me because Old Fitz isn't my favorite flavor profile. And 100 proof wheater that's a little soft at those price points in a blind tasting, it's just off. Yeah. Now, we had a Old Fitz 14-year that we owned and enjoyed it reasonably well. It didn't blow us away, but it was fun to try. Yeah. And now I've got a home blend in the bottle because it's a beautiful bottle.
The bottle is lovely. It's over there, was it? Yeah, it's over there.
Yeah, it's over there.
There's no Old Fitz in it. It's a blend.
It's a Heaven Hill blend that's got a bunch of Elijah Craig barrel proof in it. But these are the type of bottles that they're special releases. Some of them are great. I've heard the recent 13 years fantastic. The 15-year, 16-year, and 17-year were all very good in recent years releases. But even those didn't actually blow us away. So, if you want to buy one of those, just go into it with appropriate expectations, unless you really, really love 100 proof wheated bourbons, in which case it may be the perfect product for you. That's just not our bag, and that's why I got thumbs down from the both of us. Wah, wah. So, moving on to another bottle that got an emphatic thumbs down from the both of us.
Oh, yeah.
Is 2023 Old Forester Birthday Bourbon.
Yeah, I feel like we've had that a couple times now, right? And every time we want to like it and we don't like it.
It's been in a head-to-head.
I feel like I remember some of these.
Yeah, this is, shout out to Justin Williams giving us the samples of this for the pool. And I think we also got a sample from Bill Kavanaugh. But Justin calls this, the dude looks like a lady bottle. Like it's a trickster bottle. Yeah. The way it presents itself doesn't actually live up to what it tastes like. Yeah. Because the nose is fantastic. The nose is a 2 thumbs up nose. It is dense and rich and concentrated and sweet and balanced, and it's just syrupy, and the nose is phenomenal. And then you drink it, and it is probably the biggest letdown bottle
despair
between how good the nose is and how mediocre
it doesn't live
the
up to the nose.
Yeah,
at all.
And are all birthday bourbons this way? Some people say they are. A lot of people say they are. We haven't had a ton of them, but that has been the track record of birthday bourbons
For us,
for us. It just so happens that 2023 was the one that caught the brunt of our thumbs downness on the channel. But to me, it's a product, having tasted a few releases now, unless I just want that bottle on my shelf, I would have zero interest in chasing it. There's other things out there that are far better for the money. It is what it is. So is it good bourbon? It's fine bourbon. Is it worth $170 or up to $1,000 on secondary? Not for us.
We're going to say no.
Okay, speaking of things that are not quite for us value-wise, Orphan Barrel, Fable and Folly. 90 proof, I believe. It's got some age on it, 13, 14 years. It's a blend. It's good. It's fine.
What'd you say?
$150 though.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's just not, it's not for us.
Again, when things are just fine, paying upwards of $100 seems like a lot for me. If I like it, I'd be willing to pay more than $100 for something, but if it's just fine, not so much.
Yeah. Now, look, I will say this. I love having an old Fitz bottle around the house. I got a home blend in it. Like I said, it would be cool to have a birthday bourbon bottle around the house, as it would be cool to have a Orphan Barrel bottle around the house. But there's Orphan Barrels we've tried that have really impressed us. Things like Orphan Barrel Rhetoric 22, Barter House. Plenty of those bottles have impressed us. But in a blind tasting, Fable and Folly, the experience for the money just didn't add up to us. It's still good whiskey. You can see all our full thoughts. I mean, it's fruity sweet. It's got great balance. But yeah, overall, just pretty lackluster for the price tag, which brings us to the biggie in the list. You're like not even making any bones about looking. I'm trying to like covertly look at the list, and you're like squinting.
I don't care. People, we have to be able to. We can't remember all this.
Pappy Van Winkle 23 year, $300 bottle, 95.6 proof. How do you feel about Pappy Van Winkle?
I have to start out this by saying I feel very privileged and thankful that I have had the opportunity to try as many Pappies as I have. I've tried several. That is a privilege that I know not a lot of people have. So I'm thankful for that privilege. With that being said, I do not like any Pappies I've ever had. To the point of...
You like the rye. You like the Van Winkle Family Reserve rye.
Okay, but that's not the normal Pappy. When people say, you need a Pappy, they're talking about like the 15-year, like, or the 20, like... Those I do not like because, again, I don't typically like a lot of wheated bourbons, and this one is very wheated. There's like a funk I get on certain wheated bourbons, and I get them on all the Pappies. I'm sorry. Like, I just don't like it. So sue me. Like, don't sue me, but like, I just don't like it.
You like what you like. Yeah. And nothing's for everyone.
Nothing's for everyone, and Pappies aren't for me, which is fine, because then it's more for you guys.
Pappy 23 is not for a lot of people. There's that wheater funk. There's heavy oak. A lot of people say it's kind of misbalanced with the heavy oak on it.
Yeah.
It's fine to me, but at the price point, I'm again, to your point, very happy to have been able to try it, thanks to very generous samples from friends of ours.
Yeah.
Bill and Delia Kavanaugh, Kim and Mark Schwartz.
Yeah. Like, we've been very blessed to be able to say we've even gotten a chance to try them. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah. Having tried all the Pappies, the only one I would personally be interested in is the 15-year, and only if I could get it at retail or slightly above that. As far as like buying a bottle to own and drink, that would be the only one I would be going for.
So we're specifically talking about the Pappy 23 is the one we both gave a thumbs down to.
Right, but I'm letting the people know that out of the entire Pappy lineup, the only one I actually would buy to own and drink for myself is the 15. And even that's pushing it because the price tag's pretty high, and there's other things I could spend that money on. But it is pretty good. But Pappy 23, we're both out on that for the money. I like Pappy 23. She does not at all. You actively dislike it.
Yeah, and it was
I do like it.
It's just the funkiness that I get off of some of the Pappies.
Yeah, I want to be clear. I do like it. It's just a value equation inequality for me
what you're
that I just
tasting
can't.
versus what you have to pay. Yeah.
I just can't get with it. Speaking of value inequality, Rare Hair 1953. 111 proof, 18-year Tennessee whiskey aged in cognac barrels for a period of time, or finishing cognac barrels. It's a $500 bottle.
$500?
$500. I think you said it tasted like it. We had some weird flavor notes on this one.
Oh man!
Because it's a Dickel base. It's a
you
George
guys can
Dickel
go watch
base.
the video. You'll link it in the description below.
I would definitely encourage you to go watch this video. I think it like had this greenhousey dirt thing going on. very weird
Interesting.
bottle of whiskey,
Okay.
and at $500, and some places even marked it up to $1,000. It's a no from us, dog. It's a no from us. Moving on. This one will be probably the most controversial bottle on the list.
Yeah.
And we love Wild Turkey, but Russell's Reserve 13 year, doesn't matter the batch. We've tried, I think, all the batches.
Oh.
In blind tastings, they have never impressed us. Now, we have Russell's 15 out on the market now, and I love Russell's 15. I'm absolutely and actively in love with that bottle of whiskey, but
Well, okay then.
13 just did not do it for us. It either came across bitter, and like, I like an oak heavy pour, and like, I like Pappy 23, but Russell's 13 just came across as bitter oak, some of the batches.
Yeah.
And then the ones that didn't come across that way came across bright and citrusy, and they didn't have the depth that I wanted. They do have saturation there. It is good whiskey. We're not saying it's not good whiskey.
But for the price point, it wasn't there for us.
In a blind tasting. And you can look back in the catalog. We've tasted it blind against Discovery 11 from Bardstown. We've tasted it against Russell's Reserve Camp Nelson F. We've tasted it against I think regular rare breed. We've tasted it against so many things in the back catalog, but I'll put one of the videos, but it's done poorly for us in a number of videos. So we love turkey again.
We are
and
turkey
we're not
fans.
hating on this product, but that was one that missed our palates. As much as we love it, all signs on paper would point to us loving that bottle, and not a single one we ever tried really impressed us. But 15, nice. Let's go ahead and keep it moving to Smoke Wagon's experimental series of ryes, the Heavy Char F Char.
Oh.
117.4 proof, $250. Erin's Aaroning over
I'm a
here.
yawner.
She's bored by all the whiskey talk. Kind of.
A little bit.
Yeah. This is why I'm doing the majority of the talking, because I keep up with this
I'm
stuff.
just talking back so I can stay awake.
The Smoke Wagon, neither of us liked it. It's a weird
weird.
bottle. Check it down below. I don't.
It was weird at the end.
It's just weird. It was experimental.
Yeah.
It tasted experimental.
Yeah.
And it was
And you know what? Good on them for experimenting, and hopefully they don't do too much of that again.
And if you want to pay $250 for an experiment, knock yourself out. We are far too frugal, and our budget ain't like that. So we're not doing that again. Now, we got 2 more bottles left here. The next bottle I'm going to talk about is probably elicited the strongest negative reaction from me on our channel
Let's see what it is.
of anything I've ever tasted. It is Spirits of French Lick, Lee W Sinclair. It's a 4-grain bourbon. It tasted like a moldy, mildewy grain silo. And I know Spirits of French Lick, they've gotten a lot of love from Fred Minnick. Fred and I, our palates don't exactly align.
You have differing palate
We have differing
preferences.
palates. Fred is far more tolerant of grain-forward whiskeys, and he's actually spoken about how much he likes Spirits of French Lick and how they put the grain on display. And I wish they would hide it away because it's too much. It's way too much for me.
Yeah.
Watch the video if you want to see me absolutely freak out in the worst way about something in my
No,
mouth.
I kind of want to go watch it. I don't remember this.
You didn't love it either.
I'm sure I didn't.
Again,
I don't like heavy grains on display as well, especially if they're not like your traditional. If it's not a traditional mash bill.
Yeah. Now I will say we also had Spirits of French Lick Matty Gladden bottled in bond. We liked that far more. It still was crafty, but it wasn't heinous. This is the only bottle.
You're using like those SAT vocab words.
This is the only bottle on the list that I actively don't like. You actively don't like Pappy 23. I would be stunned if your active dislike of Pappy 23 is more strong than my active dislike of
it
this
probably
bottle.
isn't. I have nothing against Pappy 23. I just don't like it.
You know what we ought to do?
What?
If we had samples, we should do in the blind pool for head-to-heads, we should do a Pappy 23 versus Lee W Sinclair.
Oh.
And just watch me love one pour and you hate it, and then, oh, bless you.
I'm so sorry.
You're having all kinds of technical malfunctions tonight. But then you'd probably be on the Lee W Sinclair, and people would see me actively dislike it. So, yeah. Anyways, cute sneeze. Last bottle, Willet Purple Top. This was again, these are single barrels.
I feel like I've liked Purple Top in the past.
We're 50-50 on
Yeah,
it.
it's like hit or miss for me.
Going back to the Blandon straight from the barrels, it's like a $300 bottle.
Oh, yeah, that's probably why it was 2 thumbs down, or thumbs down.
Yeah,
That's
and
expensive.
They get marked up to $500 $600, $700, $800, $900 or more.
Yeah.
Crazy pricing on these.
Yeah.
It was 126.4 proof. I do not know the mash build. I don't know the barrel number. All that stuff I know ties into people who are big on Willet. But yeah. It was not for us, especially for the price point. We had an 8-year on the table as well. It was a blind head-to-head, a little bit of a curveball to see if Willet was actually worth it. And it was a 9-year versus an 8-year purple top.
They were both purple tops?
Yes.
Oh.
And I think we both preferred the 8-year purple top. It made for a fun video.
Interesting.
You can check it out down in the video description below. And that's our list. These are our bottles that have earned 2 thumbs down for us. Again, almost all of them are good whiskey. It's just a value
except for the Spirits of French Lick one.
Except for that one, for me.
Pappy 23.
And Pappy for you. But if you like this kind of honesty, subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit that bell down there if you want to join us for a live stream. We can kind of chat this out on a 2-way street a little bit better. We do those once a month, and the bell actually does help because it lets you know we're going live.
Because our live streams vary. The dates on the live streams vary.
Yes. And while you're down there checking out all these other videos in the video description, you can also find a link to our Patreon community. Fantastic group of people over there. There is a free tier that you can sign up for. We go to distilleries and we select barrels that we put our stamp of approval on. And we release those in tiered order, so the higher tiers get early access before they sell out. But if they go through all the paid tiers, they will release to the free tier. So that's worth signing up for if you can afford $3 a month.
Yep.
And then if you can afford $3 a month, that will get you plugged into our Discord. And that's where the community is just thriving, and it's nonstop.
Yeah.
People are sharing samples, helping people find bottles, all kinds of great stuff. Whiskey chat nonstop over there. Check that out. It's a wonderful place to be. The best place on earth, I call it. It's like Willy Wonka's
So
chocolate
Disneyland
factory.
is the happiest place on earth, and our Discord is the best place on earth.
They don't have nearly as good a bourbon at Disneyland as we have in our Discord.
Probably not.
Yeah.
They have got fun rides.
We have fun things at stuffandwhiskey.com as well, including shirts like this rye whiskey shirt inspired by Led Zeppelin.
Yep.
Glassware, all kinds of stuff. You can check that out down there in the video description below.
Absolutely. That's it for today, y'all. Be good to each other. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers, and let us know your thumbs down pours in the comments below.
But be nice.
Be nice.